Hello everybody. Welcome back to GallupBuilt. Thank y'all for stopping by and taking some time out of your day to check out this video. This video is a few more days in the shop as I just get work done on this and that. So thank y'all again for checking it out and I hope you enjoy it. I'm back at the shop, guys. I'm gonna get back on this XJ. I gotta do the final stuff on it. Set the timing, put the vacuum lines on, run the wire loom that I was working on. I had to fix a lot of that. So mostly just getting it all buttoned up and getting it started today. Before I took off yesterday, I took the valve cover back off and I put the rockers and push rods back in. And then I put the valve cover back on, sealed it all back up. Today, I'm gonna rerun the coolant lines. I've got one that goes from here to here, and there's a T in it, and then it goes to the reservoir box up here. We were gonna eliminate that, but the radiator sits lower than the engine. So the radiator sitting down here and the water neck being up here, there would have been an air bubble in it. So the reservoir with the lid was brought up to here. And that's how the air escapes the system with the box up here. So we can't really eliminate that. I gotta fix all the problems with that, put it back in, and then I still have to set the timing. This lined up more straight right here like that. So when I move it one notch this way, that's what it sits like. Well, it's a half a notch. When I move it back the other way, it's the same angle, but the opposite way. So it goes like that. I have to set it at top dead center and get this set where it needs to be so I know for sure which notch it's supposed to be on. I'll be doing that today. And then this wire loom right here, I had to repair some of this. So some of this stuff is repaired with this new loom that I like to use. And some of this here is also repaired with it. So I'm going to put all this back in. These are for the injectors. This goes into the firewall. These go to the throttle body, I think. No. That one goes to the fuel injectors. Oh no, that goes underneath. This goes under the engine to the side. I should probably put a loom on it too because these run by the exhaust system. So I'll probably throw another bit of loom on there, put that on. I have to clean this. This is cruise control. So I have to clean all of this off, put this back in. I got to clean this and put all this back in. Right here, we have a lot of broken vacuum lines. We've got one here. We've got one right here. And we've got a few that are on the truck. So I have to figure out where all these broken lines are. So there's another one right there. There's one here and one here. These were all pulled off of the truck while they were sitting in, mixed in with everything. They were already broken. So a lot of them look like they weren't hooked up. So this truck's gonna run very different when we get it running. When I'm done with the engine, I cannot forget, I gotta put this in too. These are the hooks that go underneath the front bumper. This is the skid plate for the fuel tank, and there's another one of these somewhere, and it's for the front. That piece right there. I want to start on this today too. This goes on the XJ. This one is for my WJ. This is the back bumper, and when I got it from my bro Gerald, looks like something was hit right here, and it damaged all of this. It damaged everything that was holding this onto the truck. It crunched this pretty good and it damaged underneath it. So instead of putting this back on, I'm going to use this big sheet right here. It's underneath all of this. I'm going to use that sheet and some steel stock from outside and build a nice bumper. The bumper will be built in the style of these ones right here that we got from this company. These ones are for the Bronco. Those ones are pre-cut and pre-shaped, so we're gonna cut and shape mine. With the help of my bro, we're both gonna make this one for the Jeep. Cool. Here's a piece that goes to the cooling system. This little plastic piece right here was super brittle. It broke off in the hose. I got a little further along. I've got the wiring hooked up for the fuel injectors. I've got it hooked up for the throttle body. I reloomed this area because it was just hanging out. And I'm starting to get all these cables here for cruise control, throttle, pedal, and all that. I gotta fix the vacuum line stuff and start running vacuum lines to here. And I gotta see where all those go to. I was working on vacuum lines. We've got this whole setup right here, and I've got a lot of it figured out where it's going. So some of it's going from the valve cover into this junction box here. Some of it's going into the intake manifold here. I've got the intake box right here with a couple of the lines going there. This one is one of the lines going there. This comes from that side of the truck. It actually goes all right there, through here, back this way. And then I've got this one from the brake booster to right down there. And then I've got a couple that need to go here, here, and then wherever else it all goes. I got one here on the fuel pressure regulator. I've got one right here on the HVAC. And I've got a couple that come out right here that I need to figure out what they're for and fix. But right now, I'm gonna go take off for lunch. I use some of this heat shrink, and I'm just sealing up these vacuum lines that are broken and cracked. And I am putting this all back together, little by little, piece by piece, and hose by hose. This is how far I got yesterday. So this cruise control is going to go on. I got it cleaned up. I found the vacuum lines for that, repaired, and put that back on. And then I got to repair this vacuum line for the throttle body. All right, so I've got a little further. I got the timing set. I was having a little bit of a problem with that. I marked it with this cap. So this cap is directional. This cap will only go onto this distributor shaft one way. This is the number 1 right here, and I marked it straight down to where that would be right there. So that's straight down, and then when you pull this off, you can see that when this is hidden top dead center right here, this is just contacting the point for the number 1 spark plug wire. The problem that I was having though is there was no mark at all on this pulley here. This is the area right here where we can measure when it's going to hit top dead center. 0 right here is where top dead center is, and then from here it goes backwards on how many degrees it would be off. So timing would be set a little different if you move them by those. And on GM vehicles, on the V8s, we usually set them starting at like 12 degrees. So I will check for this one and I will see. I'm cleaning this out really quick. All right, I've got all the bolts that tighten down and secure this power steering pump. I got the belt on. I tightened this pivot bolt. I tightened the adjustment bolt underneath there after I used the longer one to adjust it. And then I put these two in here. There's one right there and there's one right there. I have made it back to the shop. Today, I'm going to start this XJ. And when I start it, I'm going to find out everything else that is still wrong with it before it runs good. Hopefully nothing, but there's usually something. I got to put the drain plug back in. I got to hook the exhaust back up on the bottom, fill it with oil, fill it with coolant, and hook up the battery. Then we'll crank it. I will change the O-rings and the fuel lines to make sure we have no leaks. I figured out that it's leaking right here where the pressure regulator slides into the fuel rail. So I'm going to pull this off and check the O-ring in there, probably change it out too. There are a couple of Torx bit screws right here and here that hold this on, and then this, I'll take the fuel line out as well, but this should slide out and then I'll check the O-ring and change it out. I'm taking off this bolt right here that holds down the fuel line, and I unhooked this already. You can hear the air returning to the fuel line. Then I will pull this out and we will see what is going on with it. I thought I lost those. Just needs a new O-ring. I've got this O-ring in here that I gotta get out. I'm gonna use this little pick. This is the one I will change. This one's the thicker one, but this one pushes against that one. The new O-ring is in there. Upon inspection, the other O-ring was split. It was cracking and dried out, so I took the newest O-ring out of all the ones we pulled off the fuel injectors, and this one's still pliable, still okay, still spongy. Looks like it's going to seal it up fine, so I'm going to put this one on and see if it works. Now let's see if it'll start. Oh no. Almost forgot that. Oh, I got a leak right here. All right, I finished wiring this all up. Let me check it out right now. Turn on the headlights. Turn on the fog light switch. Nice. They're all on. Cool. Okay, so I've got it on, and I'm just checking the throttle response real quick now that it's warmed up. Good morning, everybody. I've made it to the shop. I have a few things to do today. I just got back from a test drive with the XJ. I've got a fuel delivery problem on that, or a vacuum problem. Most likely fuel delivery. I got to get a cleanup done on the tool table. And then I got to check this one. This one was making some crazy noises in the back end. And I'm guessing it's got something to do with the e-brake. So I'm going to get it up in the air and I'm going to start checking everything. Trying to see what else is going on with this thing. We got something binding up and making some noise, but it's only doing it when I'm backing up and turning. So I'm checking all the bushings and CVs back here right now.
A few moments later.
Okay, so it's a little bit later in the afternoon and I'm still working on this escape right here. I went for a couple of test drives and I noticed that there is a noise coming from, I'm gonna wanna say the back of the car, but it might be from anywhere like right here back. And it only makes a noise, it's like a clunky noise. Like, I don't know if it's a metal on metal or if there's something in there, maybe some rubber components too, but definitely something is hitting something and it's in a continuous motion. So when it's rolling, something is hitting something, but it only does it when I'm in reverse and I have the wheel turned. If I back straight up, no noise. If I drive forward, no noise. If I turn while going forward, there's no noise. But if I stop the vehicle, I turn the wheel and I back it up like I'm backing into a spot, or I'm going to turn around when I made a 3-point turn on the test drive. When I back it up, it's a clunk, 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 clunk. So I was looking online and there are a lot of people that have these Ford Escapes that have a similar problem, but everybody says they take it to the dealership and they can't replicate the problem. So there are no fixes online. I'm going to tape the GoPro under here. It might be this right here, because if you look in here, there's that. Or it might be this right here, because if you look in here, this also moves too. I don't know. I'm going to tape the GoPro right here and check this one first. I secured the GoPro underneath it to check this little carrier right here for the dry shaft. I thought that originally this was going to be the problem, but it doesn't move around enough to cause the noise. I also had the GoPro back here to check this one, and I can't seem to find any problems with it. So for the fourth time today, I've got it up in the air. I didn't find anything moving around. All of the shocks and struts are okay. Springs are okay. CVs are okay. All these bushings, even though they're not as tight as I thought they should be, these are normal, I guess. So all the bushings and this having a little bit of movement is okay. Nothing's binding the wheels at all, or the brakes. I have finally figured it out. There's a clutch in here. The clutch transfers torque as it needs to the rear differential. I think it's about time to replace this. It's called the RDU, rear differential unit, and we're gonna get one ordered. They're a few hundred for a pre-owned one. I think the whole service would be like $2,300, but we're gonna get one that's good, and I'm gonna put it in. Not today though. I'm gonna get this off the lift and get started on the other Escape, which has an ignition problem, an ignition switch problem. So the new ignition switch is here, right here. So this has to go in the silver one. I'm gonna let this one down and get the other Escape started on. When using the key, this thing is having a problem starting. Putting it here, if we give it a little wiggle, it starts the vehicle. So I'm going to change this out. This is what we're using. Dorman part number 989-019. This is going to be the third one of these we're changing in the past year. Not on the same vehicle, on a different one. There's a bolt right here. I'm glad they gave us one of these that's got a hex nut on the top. The one that Ford uses from the factory is designed to twist off, so the head of the screw is actually just a dome on there, and we have to use a Dremel to cut that and then take that out. Now with that screw out, we've got a couple of screws in a couple of weird spots that I still have to get. One of them is in this hole right here, going in here. And then there's another one right here. And this one is to ensure that it sits correctly with the steering wheel lock. And there's one more screw right under here. After taking the screws out, you can separate this from that switch. And once you open this, this will come out. Now I just have to switch over the lock cylinder itself and then put the new one back in. I'm going to take out the lock cylinder for the key and the PATS ring, which is linked with the key. Well, it's linked with the chip that's in the key. I've got this slid back around the steering shaft, and I've got this little spot where it needs to be. I hand threaded this, so I'm going to tighten it up now. Time to hook all this back up. Now I'm going to replace the cover. Now I'll hook the battery back up and see if this thing starts. That starts so much faster now. Nice. This looks cool. The Ford letters are going on this one. They're gonna look like that. And it is Saturday, but they're working on this one. Henry and Kyle are working on this one. Looks pretty good with those GT fog lights in it.
Dude, I think that's like the bomb look.
Yeah, that's sick. Fresh paint. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you all again for stopping by, checking it out, hanging out with me, and seeing what I've got going on in the shop. I appreciate all of you. Y'all have an awesome rest of your day, and y'all be careful whatever you're working on. Later.